Today's lesson is going to be the great intro from Don't Take Me Alive from the album The Royal Scam by Steely Dan. The intro is played by Larry Carlton, the one and the only. He's playing some really good stuff in here. He's playing mainly in C minor pentatonic and a little bit of C, well, quite a lot of C Dorian thrown in there as well. We're going to do a close-up now so I can take you through all the bits and pieces. And I'll show you a little bit more of the scales that we were talking about. If you'd like to see some more lessons, please subscribe by clicking in the bottom right. Any other stuff that you want in the future, put in the comments below, and give the video a like if you like it. So for this solo, as we mentioned earlier, we're playing in the key of C minor, 8th fret, and the C minor pentatonic scale is used quite a lot in this, so that's... and also the C Dorian scale, which is... and that C Dorian scale enables Larry to get them really juicy notes that sound a bit strange to the ear the first time you hear them, but they're part of the reason the solo is so great. So if you hear them sort of bends, that comes from the Dorian scale. He's those bottom 3 notes, he's sort of bending up into that note. So it's basically... Other than that, we start with that big famous G7 chord, and I've seen a lot of people do it in different ways, and there's a way to do it where you sort of bar 2 notes and then play the rest, but I'm not good enough to do it that way, so sorry about that. I'll just show you the standard way, which is a G7 bar chord on the 3rd fret and just picking out each note from the top. So when you get down to the G string, then you take your, well, I'll take my little finger off my pinky and I'll bar the 6th fret of the B and the E string. So and then we go into the main figure. So that main figure starts off on the 10th fret on the B and the E strings, and you're using your ring finger and your pinky finger to bend up. So bend up half a step and back down, and then pull off with your index finger barring on the 8th fret that same B and E string. And then I like to bar the G and the B strings on the 10th fret and bend it up. And then do the same sort of thing, so you're pulling off and then hammering back on from the 8th to the 10th. And then this bit's quite strange because I'm not really used to bending with my first finger, and watching Larry Carlton play, he tends to do that quite a lot, and it's got a really cool sound to it. So if we go... And it's important to note as well that when Larry's hitting that G string on the 8th fret, he's just hitting it once and then bending it up, up, up. So you don't want to pick it again because it doesn't get that same effect that he gets. And then you hit the D string on the 10th fret. So for the next part of the riff, we want to hit the G string on the 8th fret. So 8th, and then bend up on the 10th of the G, and then hit the B below on the 8th fret, and then we want to pull off on the 11th of the E string, the top E string, to the 8th, and then hammer on to the 10th, and ring that out a little bit. So you're bending up on the 10th, and then index finger on the 8th on the B string again. So we'll do that again slowly. So you want to sort of choke it out as well as you're playing. So for the next part, we want to use our pinky finger to bar the 11th fret, B and top E string, and then we want to bend up with our ring finger on the 10th fret. So we're doing a lot of chokes here as well with our right hand, sort of palm muting it as we're bending. So you've got to and try and mute it, but also pick out that B string on the 11th 3 times on that B string. And then you're pulling it back down from a pre-bend, that 10th coming back down. So then you hit the 11th fret top E string, and then you hit that top E string again 2 times. So the last time, 2 times on the 11th fret top E, and then we're using that index finger again, which Larry loves to use, so to bend. I think it's a whole step, so you've got to really try and push it up. So for the last riff in the first section of the intro, you're coming out of that, and then you want to go into the 8th fret top E string with your index finger, which is top E, 8th fret, G string, 10th fret, and then go down 2 frets to the 8th fret and bend it up and down. And then go to the D string, so 7th fret, and then G string, slide back and forth from the 8th, 10th, 8th. So for the next part, you want to play a C minor bar chord sort of shape by putting your ring finger on the 10th fret of the D string and then barring with your index finger that 8th fret. And you're picking the D string to the G string, B string, back to the G string, and then the E, top E string. And then you have to do a really quick bend from that position straight into the 13th fret of the B string, and then bend it up. Bending up to that 15th fret. And then below it, on the top E, you're anchoring with your little pinky finger on the 13th fret. So you hit it 4 times on that top E after the first bend. And then on that last bend, you want to give it some vibrato. So. So then, going to that top E string, you want to go 11, 13, back to 11 again, and then bend up twice on the 13th fret, bend it up. And then going down 2 frets, so 3 bends, and then hitting that 11th fret. And then the last little riff of this section is a bend up on the 10th fret of the G string. So you bend up and then pull off to the 8th of the G string. And you're also hitting that D string on the 10th with your ring finger, but bar it so that you can hit the G string underneath it as well on the 10th fret. 10 on the D and the G. Back to the D string on the 10th, and then that G string on the 8th. So now we move into the arpeggio section, which is the hardest bit by far for me to play. I mess it up all the time, so it takes a bit of getting used to. So bear with me. So we're on the 10th fret of the A string, and we want to use our index finger to hammer on from the 10th to the 11th. So 10th to the 11th, and then on the D string, the 10th to the 13th, and then the 10th on the G string below it. And then move that whole arpeggio that you're playing up 2 frets and play the exact same thing. So you're on the 12th fret now, on the A string. And I used to play this by barring those 3 strings and then playing it through, but it doesn't flow as well, and it holds you back. So get used to trying to play it on separate strings. It'll help you so much. So for that screaming end section, Larry's sliding up to the 12th fret now on the G string. And then on the B string, he's hitting the 11th fret, going back to the G string 12th, and then on the B string again, 11, 13, 11, and then back to the G string on the 12th. So you slide up to the new shape. So slide in with your ring finger to the 15th fret, 13th to the 15th, and then top E 13, back to that 15th, top E, hammer on to the 15th, back to the 13th, and then you want to hit the 15th of the top E and slide up to the 18th. and then bend it up a whole step. And as you pull it back down, take your ring finger off and use your middle finger to hit the 17th fret. And then I like to go back on my ring finger and hit the 15th top E. Bend it up twice on the 15th of the B string. And then bring everything back down to the 13th fret. So you're bending up with your middle finger on the 13th and hitting the ring finger on the 13th below. So the last little lick is a really cool one from Larry as well. He's on the 10th fret of the G string and he hits the 11th fret of the B string. After hitting the B string, you want to go back to the G string and hit the 12th fret. And then hit an open G, 12th G again. And then use your index finger to hit the D string on the 10th. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys.